you ever noticed how some women rise in life, become more stable, more responsible, and more blessed after marriage, while others lose direction, face repeated failures, or experience constant obstacles? Many people wonder if this is just fate, coincidence, or personal effort. But spiritual teachings reveal a deeper truth. A husband's inner vibration, his prayers, his silent resolve, and his blessings can shape the very direction of a woman's destiny. A man's heart carries a sacred power. When he loves with purity and sincerity, his love becomes a transforming force. It can purify karma, soften fate, and open doors that were once closed. A husband's grace is not about control, pressure, or changing his wife by force. It is a gentle divine influence that works through his character, his intention, and his connection with the divine. Many saints have said that a man's love, when aligned with higher consciousness, has the ability to uplift a woman's mind, her habits, and even her karmic path. His prayers can act as a shield around her. His patience can dissolve negative patterns, and his faith in her goodness can awaken the best within her. When a husband prays for his wife's inner growth and spiritual evolution, he is not just wishing for her success in the world. He is helping her soul move closer to its true potential. Today, let us explore a sacred and often forgotten truth. A husband's grace, his devotion, and his spiritual strength can transform a wife's karma. Not through words, not through demands, but through vibration, purity, and the silent power of his heart. Stay with me, dear seeker, as we unfold this beautiful journey. To understand how a husband can influence his wife's karma, we must first recognize that marriage is not only a social or emotional bond, but a spiritual merging of energies, in spiritual teachings, especially those shared by saints and enlightened masters. It is said that when two souls come together in marriage, their karmic fields, thoughts, emotions, and vibrations gradually intertwine. This means that both partners begin to share not only their joys and responsibilities, but also their energetic patterns and karmic lessons. A husband, by his nature, often carries a protective and intuitively guiding vibration. His heart energy is strong, and his thoughts and feelings can deeply influence the atmosphere of the home and the inner state of his partner. Because of this subtle but powerful energetic connection, his prayers, intentions, and emotional purity can impact his wife's karmic journey in ways that are invisible yet very real. A spiritually aligned husband becomes a channel of divine masculine energy, or Shiva. Shiva has the power to uplift, purify, and transform. When a husband holds pure intentions for his wife's growth, when he prays for her well-being with a sincere heart, or when he keeps faith in her goodness even during her difficult phases, he is sending positive vibrations into her karmic field. These vibrations can soften past karmas, inspire inner change, and open doors of opportunity that might otherwise remain closed. This influence is not about superiority or control. It is a sacred exchange. Just as sunlight helps a seed become a tree, a man's grace helps a woman evolve into her higher self. Through his inner strength, devotion, and spiritual alignment, he becomes a gentle guiding force in her karmic transformation. For centuries, many spiritual traditions have honored the masculine as the strength, the protector, and the carrier of divine grace. Yet, in the modern world, this sacred role of the divine masculine has often been forgotten or misunderstood. The masculine energy, also known as Shiva, is not limited to gender. It is a universal spiritual force that nurtures, protects, uplifts, and awakens consciousness within a marriage. This divine masculine presence often expresses itself through the husband's compassion, intuition, emotional depth, and natural ability to create harmony. Asterisk, he brings a steadying energy that can calm storms within the mind, restore balance in times of conflict, and guide the relationship back to love and understanding. A husband, when aligned with his higher self, becomes the spiritual anchor of the home. His presence affects the emotional climate. His thoughts influence the family's energy, and his inner peace becomes a sanctuary for everyone around him. Asterisk. Paramahansa Yogananda often shared that love filled with God becomes a powerful instrument of transformation. A man's heart has the capacity to love in a way that inspires growth in others. When his love is pure and not driven by ego, fear, or control, it becomes a spiritual blessing. He uplifts not through forceful words, but through his vibration, his example, and his silent prayers. Asterisk. The divine masculine is not domineering or rigid. It is firm yet powerful, steady yet transformative. It breaks negativity not with aggression, but with grace. When a husband embodies this divine essence, he naturally helps his wife evolve, not by changing her directly, but by awakening the goodness and truth already present within her. In this way, the masculine becomes a silent spiritual teacher, guiding transformation through love, purity, and inner strength. Asterisk. A husband's influence on his wife's karmic journey works in subtle and sacred ways, often without him even realizing the depth of his impact. Asterisk. The first way he uplifts her is through the purity of his intention, when his heart genuinely wishes for her highest good, not for personal benefit or control. This pure intention sends a powerful vibration into her life. A loving intention becomes a silent prayer that guides her actions and aligns her with better choices. Asterisk. The second way is through his prayers and blessings. A heartfelt prayer offered for a wife's protection, clarity, and spiritual growth creates a shield of divine energy around her. It can soften karmic challenges, give her inner strength, and attract supportive circumstances. Asterisk. The third way is by living spiritual values himself. When a husband embodies patience, kindness, honesty, faith, or devotion, his presence becomes a living reminder of higher ideals. Without preaching, he inspires his wife to rise to the same level of consciousness. Asterisk. The fourth way he uplifts her is through selfless service or savor. When he serves his family or home with love instead of resentment, it purifies the collective karma of the household. His energy turns ordinary routines into spiritual offerings. Asterisk. The fifth way is by holding a divine vision for her. Instead of focusing on her flaws, he sees the soul she can become. This faith awakens her inner potential and helps her evolve into the best version of herself. Asterisk. And the sixth way is through silence and forgiveness. Sometimes silence carries more power than words. His forgiveness dissolves emotional barriers, heals karmic wounds, and allows both souls to move forward. Asterisk. Through these gentle yet transformative ways, a husband becomes a guiding light in his wife's karmic evolution. Asterisk. While a husband holds the power to uplift his wife's karma, it is equally important to understand what he should avoid, because even good intentions can lose their purity when mixed with control or ego. True spiritual influence never comes through force. A husband should not try to change his wife by constant correcting, criticizing, or comparing her to others. Such behavior weakens her spirit and creates resistance rather than growth. Asterisk. He must avoid trying to impose spiritual practices on her before she is ready. Spirituality forced becomes a burden, not a blessing. A husband's grace is most powerful when it flows naturally without pressure or expectation. Asterisk, he should also guard himself from sacrificing his self-respect in the name of being spiritual or supportive. Losing one's identity, suppressing inner truth, or tolerating wrong behavior is not spiritual humility. It is emotional self-harm. A husband cannot uplift anyone if his own energy is wounded or depleted. His first duty is to maintain his inner light and dignity. Asterisk, he must also avoid carrying resentment while performing his responsibilities. Resentment blocks the healing energy of love. If he serves with a heavy heart or expectation of appreciation, the act loses its purity. Asterisk, silence should not become suppression, and forgiveness should not become permission for repeated harm. If a wife behaves in a toxic, abusive, or disrespectful way, spirituality does not require a man to stay silent or endure suffering. Protecting his mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being is part of his dharma. True spiritual influence arises from inner strength, not submission. Asterisk, a husband's role is to inspire, not to control, to uplift, not to fix, to guide through love, not fear. When he stays aligned with his truth and dignity, his grace becomes transformative and pure. Asterisk, there are times when a husband may walk a sincere spiritual path, yet his wife may not share the same interest, awareness, or willingness to grow. She may resist positive change, dismiss spiritual discussions, or remain absorbed in habits that do not support her higher evolution. In such moments, a husband may feel discouraged and wonder if his efforts have any meaning. It is important to remember that transformation does not always happen quickly on the outside. It begins silently on the inside. A husband does not need his wife to change first in order for his influence to work. His inner light, his calmness, and his steady spiritual practice already begin to purify the shared karmic space. Rather than trying to convince her, he can remain rooted in his own spiritual alignment. His peace becomes a silent invitation for her to rise. If the wife resists spiritual practices, the husband can still create sacredness in small but meaningful ways. He may keep a quiet corner for prayer or meditation, maintain purity in his thoughts, and offer sincere blessings for her well-being before sleep. Even through daily household tasks, he can mentally chant God's name or repeat positive affirmations, turning ordinary activities into spiritual offerings. These vibrations gently influence the environment and soften the partner's inner resistance over time. Asterisk, however, it is equally important to maintain boundaries when negativity becomes harmful. If the wife's behavior becomes emotionally draining or abusive, a husband must protect his dignity and mental health. Spirituality never asks a man to tolerate harm. Even when distance or firmness is needed, he can still hold goodwill for her soul from afar. True spiritual love uplifts without attachment and supports growth with compassion, patience, and inner strength. Asterisk, in the eyes of spiritual masters, marriage is not merely a social agreement or a companionship for comfort. It is a sacred journey designed for the growth of two souls. Paramahansa Yogananda explained that true marriage is a divine partnership, where both individuals help each other evolve toward higher consciousness. The purpose is not only to share a life together, but to uplift one another in character, in wisdom, in compassion, and ultimately in spiritual awakening. Asterisk, when seen through this lens, marriage becomes a spiritual school. Each partner becomes a mirror for the other, reflecting strengths, weaknesses, and karmic patterns so that both can learn, grow, and purify their inner nature. Challenges do not come to break the relationship. They come to break the ego so the soul can shine more freely. In this sacred union, the husband represents the divine masculine energy and the wife represents the divine feminine energy. Asterisk, when both energies are balanced with respect, understanding, and devotion, the marriage becomes a powerful force for spiritual evolution. The husband uplifts through grace, intuition, and compassion, while the wife uplifts through strength, direction, and protection. Together they support each other's journey toward truth. Asterisk, the highest form of love in marriage is not attachment, control, or dependence, but the sincere wish to see the other soul grow closer to God. When a husband prays not only for his own happiness, but for both souls to move toward the divine, his prayer carries great power. A marriage rooted in spiritual purpose transforms ordinary life into a path of liberation. Asterisk, two souls walking hand in hand toward the divine creator union that blesses not just themselves, but everyone around them. Asterisk, thank you, dear seeker, for staying with me on this sacred journey of understanding the deeper purpose of marriage and the divine role of grace within it. If the wisdom shared in this video touched your heart, awakened clarity, or offered comfort to your soul, I invite you to pause for a moment and silently absorb the energy of these teachings. Remember, knowledge becomes transformation only when we reflect on it with sincerity. Asterisk, I would love to hear from you as well. Please take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. You may write what touched you the most, or simply type Jai Guru to offer your gratitude to the masters for guiding this wisdom. Your comment not only supports this channel, but also sends a vibration of devotion and positivity into the world. Asterisk, if you feel this video can help someone, maybe a husband, a wife, or a couple who are seeking harmony, please share it with them. You never know whose life or marriage may be uplifted by a single message at the right time. Asterisk, and if you are new here, I warmly invite you to subscribe and join our family of like-minded spiritual seekers walking the path of love, awareness, and inner growth. Your presence here is valued, and together we create a space of healing and higher consciousness. Asterisk, before we end, I would love to know what topic you want the next video to be on. Do you want to explore more about divine masculine power, sacred relationships, soulmates, or spiritual parenting? Comment below with your preference so we can continue this journey together. Asterisk, thank you for your time, your openness, and your heart. Until we meet again, stay blessed, stay connected to the divine,